What comes next? Change one thing, rewrite everything. Every episode starts with what actually happened. We follow the facts to the edge of what we know, and then we ask the one question that changes everything. We always tell you exactly where the facts end. This is what comes next. You will spend roughly 26 years of your life unconscious, not resting or daydreaming, unconscious, completely offline. And here is the part science still cannot fully explain. Nobody knows exactly why. We know what happens when you skip it. We know the brain deteriorates. We know the body breaks down. We have documented every stage of the collapse. But the deep biological reason sleep exists at all, the actual evolutionary why, is still an open question. After millions of years and billions of humans, the most basic thing your body forces you to do every single night remains one of the biggest unsolved problems in neuroscience. That is where we start. 26 years. That is the average across an 80-year lifespan, sleeping 8 hours a night. More than 3 full decades if you sleep 9. Gone. Not to illness, not to work, not to anything you chose. Just gone. Now watch what happens when you cut it short. People sleeping under 6 hours a night show a 13% higher all-cause mortality rate compared to those getting 7 to 9. Not marginally higher, 13%. That is not a correlation someone found buried in a footnote. That is a pattern consistent across major longitudinal studies. 17 hours without sleep produces measurable cognitive impairment equivalent to a blood alcohol content of 0.05. 24 hours approaches 0.10. In most jurisdictions, 0.08 is legally drunk. Your body reaches that threshold not from a single drink, but from staying awake through one bad night. And while you sleep, your brain does something it cannot do while you are conscious. The glymphatic system, a waste clearance network specific to the brain, runs at something close to full capacity only during deep sleep. It flushes out metabolic byproducts, including amyloid beta and tau, the proteins that accumulate in Alzheimer's disease. Sleep is not rest, it is maintenance. It is your brain cleaning itself while you are out of the way. The outer edge of documented human sleep deprivation belongs to Randy Gardner, a 17-year-old who in 1964 stayed awake for 11 days and 25 minutes under medical supervision. By day 4, he was hallucinating. By day 6, he could not complete simple sentences. By day 10, researchers described him as functionally psychotic. He slept for 14 hours after it ended and was not permanently harmed. But the deterioration was documented at every stage, beginning far earlier than most people expect. Everything up to this point is documented, verified, and real. What comes next is not. What if humans never needed sleep? The most immediate consequence is also the most disorienting. We get 26 years back. Not saved, returned. Active, conscious, productive hours that currently disappear every night, handed back to every living person simultaneously. At a global workforce scale, that is roughly a third of all available human hours that were previously offline, now available every single night. That sounds like abundance. It is not. Think about what those hours cost. Labor markets in every sector recalibrate around 24-hour availability. The night shift is no longer a specialty, it is the default. A workforce that never sleeps does not rest more. It produces more, which means it is expected to produce more. The 8-hour workday, already a fought-for historical achievement, has nothing left protecting it. The argument for limits was always biological. Without the biological floor, there is no floor. The pressure does not distribute evenly. It follows existing power structures. Those at the bottom of the labor chain absorb the most new hours. Those at the top extract the most value from them. The 26 years do not belong to you. They belong to whoever can make a claim on your time. And that claim goes deeper than economics. Now the structure underneath civilization starts to shift. Human societies before industrialization organized themselves around daylight and darkness. Sleep was not just a biological function, it was a social one. Night was the period when labor stopped, when vulnerability was shared equally, when the powerful and the powerless were both, in a sense, offline. That shared pause shaped how communities formed, how households functioned, how religion framed the rhythms of human life. Remove sleep, and you remove the pause. The shared vulnerability disappears. So does the natural boundary between one day and the next, and once time becomes continuous, it is very hard to resist monetizing it. Consider what disappears. The dream, not metaphorically, dreams in their actual neurological form, the REM cycle experiences that some researchers believe play a role in memory consolidation, emotional processing, and creativity, are gone. Whether that erases something essential about how humans process experience and generate meaning is genuinely unknown. The literature on dreams and creativity is not settled, but the fact that dreams disappear is not speculative. Remove sleep, remove REM, remove the thing entirely. What about the biological maintenance? The glymphatic flush does not run. The amyloid beta accumulates. The proteins that sleep was clearing now stay. Neuroscience as it exists now suggests that a sleepless species operating indefinitely on uncleared neural waste would see dramatically elevated rates of neurological decline at younger ages. Whether evolution would solve for this over millennia is a separate question. In the near term, the bodies we have were built for a specific maintenance cycle. Eliminate the cycle, and the maintenance does not happen elsewhere. It does not happen at all. Over a longer horizon, the architecture of organized society reshapes completely. The gift economy, the small-scale mutual exchange that sustained pre-money human communities, could not scale past a few hundred people, even with sleep. Without it, without any natural ceiling on what individuals can demand from each other or accumulate in a single continuous stretch, the velocity of consolidation accelerates. Wealth and power and resources concentrate faster because the only natural brake on human ambition, physical exhaustion, no longer applies. Slavery at industrial scale historically required a specific infrastructure. Supply chains, accounting systems, financial instruments capable of treating human beings as long-term capital investments. That infrastructure took centuries to build. Without sleep, the hours available for both building and exploiting that infrastructure multiply without limit. The biological cost nobody sees coming decades later, the one that shows up quietly in middle age as cognitive decline, as shortened lives, as neurological disease, is the price a sleepless civilization pays without ever connecting it to the original change. Children born into this world never know it differently. For them, continuous wakefulness is simply what humans are. The concept of a night, in any meaningful experiential sense, does not exist. There is no word for it, no mythology built around it, no religion that marks the boundary between day and rest, because that boundary never existed for them. The dark half of every 24 hours is just more time. More time to work, more time to be reached, more time to be useful to someone else's agenda. The poets of this world write about light in every register. They have no register for its absence. What does the world look like now? More productive by every measurable standard, richer in aggregate, while far more stratified, far more surveilled, far more defined by the total absence of any natural pause in what can be demanded of a human body. The 26 years were returned, but they were never really ours. Next time, we follow the world where money was never invented and trace what builds itself instead. What comes next? If this made you think, there is more where that came from. New scenarios every Tuesday and Friday. Follow What Comes Next on YouTube so you never miss one. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Instagram and TikTok, all at What Comes Next. Links are in the description. The next scenario is already waiting. What comes next?